New chapter on the course Linear Algebra titled as Quotient Spaces, and this is the first lecture on quotient spaces. Lecture 1. So in this lecture we will at the end we will define a quotient space. So to define a quotient space we need to have certain construction, we need to have certain terminologies. So the first thing that we will define is so called as a coset. Quotient space is basically a space, a vector space containing a set itself. Now what are those sets that we will, or how that sets are constructed, that we will see from this definition. So given a vector space V, let V be a vector space, and W be a subspace of this V over the same field. Let me fix a point V, small v, in this vector space V. Then we define right coset. Well, basically we have two kinds of coset. One is called as the right coset, the other one is called as the left coset. Now right cosets generated by this fixed point V, okay, in W, we define by see, there's a notation. Since this is a right coset, we denote it in this way: W plus in the suffix V. That's a notation for the right coset. It's a set of the vectors in V which is of this form with respect to this V, small v, the small fixed V. So it is of this form. It collects all the elements of the form W plus V. Okay, so V is on the second position and W is on the first position, where W is varying over old W. So it's trivial that the number of elements in this set will be S, same as the number of elements in this capital W, right? Because the set is varying only for this W, the second element will always remain fixed, right? And you also observe that since this V is in capital V, and since this W is in W, which is a subset of V, this W plus V also belongs to capital V, as V is a vector space and this is a subset of V. So this is called as the right coset only because we are adding this fixed V on the right hand side. Okay. In a similar way we define left coset. Left coset generated by a fixed element, say V, in V in W by, so that's how we read it. This is the right coset generated by V in W. Okay, so this is for a subspace W. Only difference will be this element will be on the left hand side. Okay, so it's going to be like V plus W, where W is varying over, right? Okay. Now one thing one would observe in a vector space, that this right coset and the left coset coincide, because we know that plus is commutative in a vector space. So therefore this V plus W can be written as W plus V for a fixed V, where W is varying in capital W, which is same as your right coset. So in general, whenever I use the term coset, it would mean either the right coset or the left coset. So that's the first observation that we have. Right coset for a fixed v is same as the left coset, or the right coset generated by the fixed v is same as the left coset. So that this is same as w plus v is same as v plus w. Also observe the way I'm mentioning the coset. It is the subspace and plus should come in the suffix of this w, that is slightly to the lower end, plus the fixed element. Okay, so I might be either using the right coset or the left coset while discussing the properties of cosets. Well, so let's observe this set, either the right coset or the left coset, for one particular subspace of a given vector space. And to visualize its geometrical idea, we take a simple subspace of R2. Okay, so example, let V be R2. Okay, and see, when I consider R2 with the standard operations, then this becomes the finite dimensional space with the dimension 2. Okay, so the subspace will either have dimension 2, dimension 1, or dimension 0. Dimension 0 is the trivial subspace. So I'll consider a subspace which is of dimension 1, which is properly contained in R2. Okay, and a subspace of R2 of dimension 1 is simply a line passing through the origin. Okay, so I'll consider, this is my y-axis and this is my x-axis, so I'll consider x-axis itself as the w. So what is w in this case? It has a property that the first coordinate is varying over a real line and the second coordinate, that is y coordinate, is always 0. So it's of the form x comma 0, it's a collection of ordered pair of the form x comma 0 where x is varying over r. So I'll consider w to be this, just one simple example. So this is a subspace of V. So I can now talk about the coset of coset generated by a fixed point of R2 in W. Okay, so let me fix a point, say some fixed point a comma b in R2. Okay, so let a comma b belongs to R2. A comma b can be any ordered pair in R2. So for this fixed a comma b, let us try to evaluate what is the coset that we obtain. Okay, so I'll take the right coset w plus a comma b in this case. Okay, so since the point here v is the ordered pair a comma b, it depends on what is the vector space that you are talking about. So this is going to be the collection of all the points of w, but the w itself is of the form x comma 0, right, plus the fixed point a comma b. Now see, instead of saying that w is varying over this capital W, as I know that any vector in W will be of this form x comma 0 and x will be varying x for some x in R. So this would be same as saying x belongs to R, right. So this is the right coset we have generated by a comma b, and by the definition of addition in R2, this is same as saying x plus a comma 0 plus b, which is same as b, where x is varying over R. And geometrically one would observe that this is in fact a translation of this line. This w is nothing but the real line passing, its x-axis passing through this origin. Okay, so for x equal to 0 in this set we will get a point a comma b. So it is basically a straight line which is parallel to this line x-axis and containing the point a comma b, right? Because b is fixed, so when I say x is varying over r, this x plus a would vary over this line, and b, y equal to b is fixed, so x plus a comma b for any x in r will lie somewhere on this line which is parallel to this. Okay, and it is very easy to observe that this is again a subset of R2. Okay, but this need not be a subspace of R2. Okay, this need not be a subspace of R2, because as you can see that if this a comma b is not origin, it is not, if it is not 0 comma 0, then this line is not passing through the origin 0 comma 0, and you will observe that 0 comma 0 may not lie in the coset that is generated by a fixed point. Okay, and therefore one remark also you may make, one observation that you can conclude is that the coset generated by a point may not be a vector space, may not be a subspace of a vector space, right? So in fact there should be some property of this, there should be some constraint on that fixed point which we are talking about, or which is in the picture, for this coset to be a subspace, that we will see while discussing the properties of while discussing the properties of coset. Okay, so there are certain important observations that one can make through this definition. So the first observation is that if that V itself is a zero vector from V, okay, that is a fixed vector is 0, then in that case the coset generated by the origin in W would be as same as W. The reason is very clear. This set by definition is nothing but W plus 0, where W is varying over, okay, which would be same as saying one of the standard property, or the property of this additive element is nothing but it gives back the same element. So it is same as saying W, where W is varying over. So what is this set? This is the set of element which is varying over the set W, so which is nothing but W itself, right? So this is one observation that one can make, that W plus 0 element in V is same as W. Okay, now this 0 element depends on what vector space that you are talking about, right? Like in the previous case, 0 vector is 0 comma 0. Okay. The second observation that we can make is that if, see, that fixed point V is coming from V, a given parent vector space, okay, so if instead of this V taking from this capital V, if I take it from the subspace itself, okay, in that case what will happen, I mean that is valid because I know that this W is a subset of V, so I can define a coset generated by that point as ultimately it will be a point of a given vector space. But one thing you will observe that if V is lying in W, then the coset generated by this W, by this V, will be nothing but W itself, or this collection will be nothing but W itself. Okay, so let's try to prove that. First let me state the observation that if V is coming from W, which is a subset of, in fact a subspace of V, then W plus V, or the coset generated by this V, is as same as W once again. Okay, and in this case you will also observe that if it is same as W, then W plus V becomes a subspace, as W is a subspace. Okay, so this might be one sufficient condition for for a coset to becomes a subspace. Instead of that V coming from capital V, if it is coming from W, then the coset generated is once again is S same as W, and hence it has to be a subspace. Okay, so this is the condition that is required on V for a W plus V to be a subspace. Okay, so let's try to prove this. So let V be element coming from W itself. Okay, so what I need to claim or what I need to prove is that this W plus V is same as W. So I'll prove this as usual, that is I'll show that W plus V is a subset of W and W is a subset of W plus V, right? So let me start by taking an element in W plus. So let me take X belongs to W plus V, and W plus V is a set having the element of this form, W plus the fixed element V, where W is varying over W. So this would mean that X has to have this form, so that means X should be equal to W1 plus V for some W1 belong to for some. Okay, V will remain fixed. So your claim is to show that this X is in W. By that what you will show that W plus V is a subset of W, right? But is it not clear that this sum also belongs to W? Don't forget the fact that W is a subspace. Okay, so since this W1 and this V also belongs to W, W1 plus V belongs to W. S plus is closed in W as W is a subspace. Okay, so that is the observation, and with that observation you will see that X will also lie in W. Okay, so since W1 and V is in W, this would implies that W1 plus V belongs to W as W is a subspace. Okay, which would mean that X belongs to which is same as W1 plus V belongs to W. So this proves the one part, that is W plus V is contained in W, capital W. Okay, it's the first. Secondly, what you have to show is that now W is contained in W plus V. Okay, so I'll begin by saying that there is an element in W, so let Y be an element in W. Okay, so what I need to show is that this Y is of the form W plus V for some W in capital W, or Y can be expressed as some element of W plus V. Okay, now what should be the trivial way of expressing this Y as some element of W plus V? Okay, now it's very clear from this. See, I want this to be some element plus V. Okay, now how can I write, how can I balance the term? I need here Y minus V, so that when I apply the associativity, this minus V becomes the additive inverse of this V, and this will become 0, and you will get Y plus 0, which is same as Y. So note that Y can be expressed in this form. So this suggests that your W have to be Y minus V. So if I can show that this Y minus V is in W, then we are done, isn't it? Okay, so in that case Y will be of the form, say, W plus V, where W is nothing but Y minus V, which belongs to W, and therefore this Y is coming from W plus V. Okay, so we will show that I'll take this as, say, W1, which is equal to Y minus V. This vector belongs to W, so then we are done. So this is what only we need to show. Okay, so now what you know is that Y belongs to W, as well as you know that V belongs to W. Okay, This implies that y, in fact minus v also is in W because W is a vector space, vector subspace. So this implies that y minus v belongs to W. Okay, which implies that now W1 belongs to W, and therefore I can say that y from star, which is same as W1 plus V, since W1 belongs to W, this belongs to W plus V. Okay, so by this we have proved that W plus V, sorry, W, a subspace W is a subset of W plus V, right coset. Okay, so from 1 and 2 what we observe that W is same as W plus V. So from here you can also observe one more thing, that in this case, that is when V is the point coming from W itself, then the coset generated by this V is also is a subspace, okay, which is same as W, and that's why it has to be a subspace. So this is the condition that is required for a W plus V to be a subspace. Otherwise it may not be. Okay. One more observation I would like to mention here. Third one, this is a conditional statement. So let V1 comma V2 be in V, then W plus V1 would be same as W plus V2. By this I mean that the coset generated by V1 in W would be same as the coset generated by V2 in the same subspace W, if and only if the difference V1 minus V2 or V2 minus V1 is in W. Okay. Before I proceed with the proof of this, there is one important observation which I want to mention. Maybe I'll mention it here. So you note one thing: if say W plus X is same as W plus Y, okay, I mean, can I add one more vector here? So in that case, will W plus X plus Z, will this be same as W plus Y plus Z? Okay, so that is the question. Okay, and you know it is possible, it is true by the definition. The reason is this. See, by this I mean that okay, if I try to explore this set, this is same as saying W plus X plus Z. So X plus Z is fixed and W is varying over set W. Okay, so what I need to show is that this is same as W plus Y plus Z, right? Okay. Now, what is W plus Y? In fact, this implies that the set W plus X, where W is varying, W is same as the set W plus Y, where W is varying in W, right? So W plus, in general, for any W, I mean for a particular W, W plus X would be same as W plus Y. Okay. So this is same as writing, I'll use the associativity property W plus X plus Z. Okay. Now by this above observation, this W plus X is same as W plus Y for a particular, I mean for the corresponding W's. Okay. And again this is same as W plus Y plus Z using the associativity property, which is same as W plus Y plus Z. So what I mean to say is that, in fact, the brackets are not required. So what I mean to say is that if the two cosets are same with the different points or by the different fixed point, then I can add one more point in the suffix. So I mean this would be now the coset generated by the point x plus z, and this would be the coset generated by the point y plus z. So if the coset generated by x in W is same as the coset generated by y in W, then the coset generated by the point x plus z in W would be same as the coset generated by y plus z in W, and this goes on. Okay, so this idea we will be using here, and that's the reason I wanted to mention it before I start the proof of this. Okay, so this is in fact the biconditional statement. It has two parts. First thing, observe that V1 and V2 is coming from V. So if I observe that W plus V1 is same as W plus V2, then I'll have to show that either the difference V1 minus V2, this wouldn't make a big difference. If V1 minus V2 is in W, then definitely its inverse will also be in W, the additive inverse, which would be same as V2 minus V1. Okay, that is minus of this, right? So either you can say that, I mean both are true. In fact, if this is true, then definitely this will also be in W. And secondly, you will have to show that if this is true, then W plus V1 is same as W plus V2. So let's try to produce a proof for this. So in first case, I assume that let W plus V1 be same as W plus V2. So what I need to show is that this V1 minus V2 or V2 minus V1 is in W. Okay. Now see, this is shown, this will be shown by proving that this V1, either V1, if I am starting with V1, V1 is in W plus V2, or I'll show that V2 is in W plus V1, and that is very easy to observe. So if I start with V1, okay, then this V1 is a point in W plus V1 also, because see, W is varying. So if I can write down this V1 as some vectors in W plus V1, then we are done. So in fact, see, through this proofs you also get to a conclusion of many important points. Like for example, when I say W plus X, X belongs to W plus X. The reason is very clear. X can be expressed as some element. In fact, that element is zero element plus the fixed element X, right? So V1 can be expressed as the fixed, I mean one particular element in W, that is the zero element plus V1, which means that V1 belongs to W plus V1, as this 0 bar is also in W, as W is a subspace. So S0 belongs to W, being W is a subspace, W plus V1. And now you also know that this W plus V1 is same as W plus V2. So this means that V1 also belongs to W plus V2, as W plus V1 is same as W plus V2, right? And by definition, what this means? This means that V1 is same as W. It can be expressed as some vector in W plus V2. So I call it as small w plus V2 for some W in capital W, by the definition of the coset generated by V2. Okay. Now if I try to find out the difference V1 minus V2 or V2 minus V1, then we will see that W, by adding minus V2 on both sides, I'll get V1 minus V2. Okay, which means that since W is in W, this means that V1 minus V2, which is equal to W, this belongs to W. That's what we wanted to show, right? And we have this. Okay, in fact this is the generalized statement of the above statement, and in the above statement, that is in this statement, the converse part is also true. Okay, just you may consider this W as W plus, I'll write down this in green, which we have proved, right? So W plus V would be same as W plus 0, provided V minus 0 or 0 minus V is in W, right? So even the converse statement is true, that is, if this is true, then V belongs to W. That we prove in general here itself. Okay. Well, so now let us prove conversely, converse statement. Conversely, we assume that the difference V1 minus V2 is in W. Either I can assume that V1 minus V2 is in W, or V2 minus V1 is W. Both are in fact equivalent, because saying that this belongs to W, it would be same as saying V2 minus V1 is in W, because the negative of this will also be in W, because W is a subspace, right? Okay, so here I'll have to show that W plus V1 is same as W plus V2. So if V1 minus V2 is in W, then by the above property, we know that W plus V1 minus V2, that is the coset generated by this V1 minus V2, is same as W by observation 2. Okay, and this is same as W plus 0 bar, where 0 is the vector in V. So what do I have? I have W plus V2, V1 minus V2 is same as W plus 0 bar. Now I need to get, in fact, the idea is clear from here. I want W plus V1 is same as W plus V2. So that means if I add V2 over here, that will give me W plus 0 plus V2, which would be same as W plus V2, because 0 plus V2 is same as V2. So by this observation in red which we have made, by that it is clear that I can add a vector on both the side. Okay, so if I have this, then definitely from here I will have this vector plus V2. I'll be adding V2 so that I get V2 here, and this either you add V1 or V2. Okay, it will give you the same thing. So this is same as, now this addition and minus after this stage is in V. So this can be rewritten as V1 plus minus V2 plus V2, and this is same as W plus 0 plus V2 is same as V2. Okay, so in fact if you want, you can put a bracket here. So this is same as writing W plus V1, this is same as 0 bar. This is W plus V2, and now you know that W plus V1 plus 0 is nothing but V1. Okay. So with this we have proved the above observation, right? Using this, I'll be proving one of the important theorem using this above observation. So that's a last theorem for this particular lecture, and with that I'll stop. I'll stop the lecture. Okay. So the theorem says that, see, if you have two cosets in W generated by the two different points, then either they will be disjoint or they will be equal, which means that if there is any common element in two distinct coset, then those cosets, those two cosets have to be same. So there cannot be like only one or two elements common. If there is common, then everything is common. If there is nothing, I mean, if no, then there is nothing is common. Okay. So I'll state it in this way. Let V be a vector space or some field, and W be a subspace of V. Let V1 and V2 be 2 points in V, such that W plus V1 and W plus V2 are two cosets generated by V1 and V2 cosets in W or of W, okay, generated by V1 and V2 respectively. Then we will have exactly one of the following. Then exactly one of the following is true. The first one is that either this W plus V1 and W plus V2 are disjoint. That means there is nothing common in them. If there is anything common, then everything is common. Okay, which means that W plus V1 have to be same as W plus V2. So either there is nothing common in these two set, or they are same. That is, every elements are common. Okay. So the proof of this, we deduce it from the above observations. So the proof. Okay, now what I'll do, see, I have to show that exactly one of this is true. So suppose I assume that this is not true. Then for this statement to be true, for the entire statement to be true, I have to show that W plus V1 is same as W plus V2. Okay, so that's the idea. Assume that the statement 1 is not true. If W plus V1 intersection W plus V2 is equal to empty is not true, which means that there is at least one element common in these two element. Okay, that is W plus V1 intersection W plus V2 is non-empty, right? So therefore there exists X in W which lies in X in V which lies in both this element. Okay, says that X belongs to W plus V1 intersection W plus V2, and by definition X, by definition of intersection, X have to be in W plus V1 and X also belongs to W plus V2. By this I mean that X can be expressed as some element of W plus V1, so I'll call it as W1 plus V1, and here also X can be expressed as W2 plus V2, right? Don't forget the claim for some W1 comma W2 in W. What I need to show is that I need to show that W plus V1 is same as W plus V2, and that can be shown by showing that the difference V1 minus V2 or V2 minus V1 belongs to W, right, by the above observation. So because the above observation says that whenever the difference V1 minus V2 or V2 minus V1 is in W, this implies that W plus V1 is same as W plus V2, right? And it is very easy to observe that property from here. See, X is same as W plus V1 as well as X is same as W2 plus V2, which implies that W1 plus V1 have to be same as W2 plus V2. You look for the difference V1 minus V2 or V2 minus V1. So if you look for the difference V1 minus V2 by adjusting the term, that is by adding the inverse of V1 and W1 or V2 and W2, you will get W1 minus W2 same as V2 minus V1. Okay, I'm skipping some steps in between as you are used to this strategy. Okay, so this means that V2 minus V1 is equal to W1 minus W2, but W1 and W2 are the points from V. This should implies that their difference have to be, sorry, the point from W. Being W is a subspace, the difference W1 minus W2 also should be a point from W. Okay, as W1, W2 is in W and W is a subspace of V. So this is enough to say that W plus V1 is same as W plus V2 by observation 3. Okay, so with this I have proved this property. So this property says that either W plus V1 intersection W plus V2 is empty, or if this is not true, then W plus V1 is same as W plus V2. Okay, yeah, with this I end up this session. In the next session of quotient space, we will define so called as a quotient space, that is in fact a collection of cosets of W generated by a fixed point, okay, generated by the points of V. In fact, uh, this space or this set, this collection forms a vector space, and that is called as the quotient space with respect to the some operation addition and product, which we'll be defining in the next lecture. Thank you for watching this.